So you are selected, applied for the first time, only 3 universities, 2 invites out of 3, and you got accepted on the first time application. This is a huge achievement, man. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
How does it feel? How's this feeling? So those who have never been selected, how's this feeling when you don't know the stress of rejection, where you have to wait for another year and test psychology and swear at psychology? You don't know that. How's this feeling? Friends, let me welcome you and thank you for joining us on this video. I'm excited as we continue with our psychology selection interviews. The gentleman I have today, and I'm happy that it's a gentleman. People will think this channel is only for females, so it's all genders. So if you don't reach out as gentlemen, we'll never hear from you. This gentleman reached out excited that he has been accepted into the master's program. He will tell you all about it, where he got in. I just want him to share his story of how he got into the clinical psychology program. Mr. Tiro Mutupise, welcome. And if you could just briefly give a background, who's Tiro, where you come from, and what are you currently doing?
Thank you very much, Dr. T. Such a privilege to have this conversation with you, and I'm excited to be part of the channel. So my name is Kagiso Mutupi. I come from Tahu village in the Northwest. I completed my matric at Pinagara High School in 2018. I then went to enroll for BSc, majoring in physiology and psychology at Sefako Makgatho Sciences University, and I completed that degree in 2022. I then went to enroll in the same institution, BSc Honors in Psychology, and I completed it last year, 2023. So this year, I have actively volunteered at the police station under the crisis department. So my role there was to provide emotional support to the survivors of crime through active listening and validating the experiences of those survivors. My other role included participating in risk and safety interventions. So if maybe the perpetrator was still roaming around, we would assess whether it was safer for the survivor to go back home, or we would accommodate the survivor in our facility. I
Wow.
also participated in mental awareness campaigns, mainly advocating for men's mental health. And I was also participating in psychoeducation in high schools around my community. So that's what I can say about myself.
Awesome, awesome. Look, that's great. And yeah, I mean, it's a lot that you have done. I think I'll touch on that later in terms of your voluntary work. What also excites me is that you are from SMU. You know, most of the time when I speak to people from SMU, they think the program will never lead them to clinical. And you are here, you are from SMU, you are in the clinical program. So I hope those who are watching from SMU, they'll get excited and motivated. But just quickly, I want to know, how did you come across psychology? When did you decide that psychology is the field that you want to follow? I mean, you come from a medical institution, there were other fields that you could have followed. Why psychology? At what point did you know you want to become a psychologist?
There was a point in my life where I had to self-introspect in terms of what I wanted to be. So initially, I wanted to be a medical doctor. However, it did not resonate with my personality and my aspirations. So this traces back when I was in primary. Not saying I started aspiring to be a psychologist in primary. I had no idea that there was a field like psychology back then. But my grandfather was a priest who often gave pastoral counseling to the members of the congregation. Although I was not there to witness or hear what they were saying in the counseling sessions, I witnessed the transformative power of talk therapy. So I could see people, they were distressed before they could see my grandfather, and they will feel much better. So I did have conversations with my grandfather, and he will tell me that, you remember that lady that once came and they were crying, now they are back, they found a job, they are spiritually fulfilled and all that. And I'm not going to lie, that experience really shaped my perspective when it comes to talk therapy. That's one thing. And then secondly, I do have a bullying experience in primary. And from that experience, I was able to develop a sense of empathy for people that are going through those experiences. And I was able to be compassionate in helping those that are going through the very same or similar experiences. And then the third reason, my psychotic uncle, I've seen how psychosis has affected him overall. Although he is on medication, the way he lives his life underscores a need for therapy. So combining all these reasons, they resonate with my personality, or the way experiences have shaped me, the way I see psychology. And that is when I decided to follow the psychology route.
So by the time you went to varsity, you knew that you wanted to become a psychologist.
I did my introspection when I was already in
Oh, within.
on roll. Yeah. Because
Oh, I get you.
when I went to SMU, I wanted to become a medical doctor, and then I switched and said, no, actually medicine doesn't really resonate with my aspirations. And then I decided to move forward with psychology. So all
Oh,
these
okay.
reflections were actually done when I was already enrolled in varsity.
Oh, okay. Awesome. And let's get into now you go there, you finish your honors, now you are selected into the master's program. So you finish your honors which year?
2023.
2023. So this is already 2024. Do you mean like you never got rejected into the master's before?
No, that was my first time applying. This year was my first time applying.
I must even sit nicely. This is very interesting because I don't get people who get in for the first time. So you mean you have
Yeah.
never applied for masters before this year? It's the first time you apply, you got accepted the first time.
Yes. The thing is, at SMU, they advised us not to apply on the year we were doing our honors.
Okay.
Um, I, I don't know the reason for that, but I spoke to the course coordinator by then, and she told me that for masters we would need some volunteering work. I did not have that, and I will need to reflect more on myself. And I felt that I needed to do that. So last year, when I was doing my honors, I never applied. I only focused mainly on my academics. And then 2024, I applied and I got in.
Doesn't matter. What matters is that you're applying for the first time. What matters is that you are applying for the first time. So this 2024 was the first time you are applying for master's psychology.
Correct.
And which universities did you apply to?
I applied at Wits University, University of Pretoria, and University of Free State.
Okay. And then did you get any feedback from that?
Yes, Wits, I couldn't make it through the paper selection. And UP, I got shortlisted to come for the interviews, as well as University of Free State. So I
Wow,
only
wow,
applied to three
wow.
universities. Yeah.
Wow, you applied for 3 and 2 called you.
Yes.
Wow, wow, wow. No, you are very special. I'm telling you, you are very special. Oh, wow, wow, wow. So when you say vet, you didn't make it, did they send you a letter of rejection?
Yes, they did send a letter of rejection. I think they sent it when UP was actually the first one to send an invitation, and then right after, Vets also sent their rejection letter.
Ah, wow, wow, wow. And you must have been scared to say, hey, already I only have 1 out of 3.
It
Wow,
was super scary. I won't lie.
wow. You know, I was doing a video this week, and I kept repeating the statement that those who got accepted, they were rejected somewhere. And I'm glad I'm having this to show that they've rejected you, but the same year you have been accepted at one of the 2 institutions. So how did you prepare? Because it's the first time. Let's start with there because I mean, but it's fine. I think before you even get to the preparation, let me hear how did it go at UP? What happened at UP?
Um, at UP, I was struggling with anxiety. I think it was the thought of acknowledging what is at stake. And I did not have a lot of people that were going through in this the selection. So I was unfamiliar even with the faces, the people there, the environment. So the anxiety actually became a physical state that it tainted my performance, and yeah, I couldn't even make it to the next round.
When you say anxiety, do you mean like you had a running tummy, you were sweating, you were what was it?
It was that anxiety that
Oh, you've got a
you feel even
vibrating
a lump
voice.
on your throat.
You
Yes,
know when
even
you want
that,
to
even
talk.
the stuttering. There was a point where I was stuttering a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah.
They're like, oh, this stuttering psychologist. So, so how far did you go with UP?
I fell out from the first round.
Yeah, I know it was very bad.
Yeah,
It was
okay.
tough, eh?
It was tough. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Yeah.
uh, I did a video this week. I was speaking about uh exclusion mentality. That if you fumble in a selection, there are some people who exclude themselves. They've already given themselves a letter before they even get. Were you in that state when you left? You are like, if they call me, I'll be surprised.
Yes, yes. Because I also reflected on my performance. I said that there's just no way I'm going to make it to the next round. There's just no way.
I like that. I like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
look, I mean, it's yeah, I think it has come to a point where selection for me has become now like I'm bringing the fun out of it because I think people get so anxious, and I'm laughing about this
yeah,
because I want people to see that what they go through, even people who get selected, they go through it. I think that's the most
yeah.
important part. I interviewed somebody last time. He told me he had a running time. He couldn't perform at SMU. Now he's back there and he got selected. So thanks for that. And I want to go into the details because I think I've covered UP before and what they do with the selection. But what can you share about what did you do on the first day? How was the setup? What was the thing that really scared you?
One thing that scared me is that I think 60 applicants were shortlisted. So that's
Yeah.
number one. And then we had to write some sort of like a test in the morning. And there were other candidates that were just, I don't know, I think I mirrored their anxiety somehow, because they started sharing that they were anxious and all that. So I started mirroring their anxiety.
Mm,
And yeah, we wrote a test. It wasn't bad. We had to write an abstract from a very long paper, and we had to write an essay as well. So for that, I can't complain. It really worked well for me. And then we had
mm,
to
mm,
wait for the group activities. So what I did
mm,
is that I chilled with they give us designated slots with the names of the candidates that will be in the same group
mm,
with. So I
mm,
chilled with them at the student cafeteria, and then we just started talking just to get used to each other.
mm, mm,
Yeah, but then when it came, we went for group activities. My anxiety started again, to a point where one panel member, when they asked about my reflections, I just went blank. I went blank and I didn't know
sure.
what to say. Yeah.
Mm,
So yeah, after that I even felt like it was useless to just come again for interviews, because I've already fumbled
mm,
with my performance at the group activity. And yeah, the stuttering also took place in the group activity,
mm,
because now you are blank, you don't even know what you are saying, you are rambling
mm,
and all
mm,
of
mm.
that. And then, yeah, the following day I came for individual interviews, and I won't lie, the stuttering happened again. And I
Mm,
started questioning my abilities. I started questioning what is wrong with myself, because normally I'm not like that. I'm able to perform
mm.
well
Pleasure.
under pressure. Yeah.
Mm,
So yeah, I just uh, became honest with myself that, after this, I'm not going to make it to the next round if I'm just being honest with myself. So I had
mm, mm.
already accepted defeat. Yeah.
Okay. No, no, I mean it does happen, and obviously, I mean if you are honest with yourself, you will come to that evaluation and to say, you know what, I've not done well, and expect the outcome. But when you reflect now in the hindsight, what do you say affected you? If you were to do things differently, and this will probably help somebody in the same situation, how would you have done things differently?
First of all, I think at the beginning I was ignorant of my own anxiety levels, because I just thought it's a normal part of the interviews that you become anxious. But I did not take any proactive step in mitigating the effects. So the anxiety just grew and grew with other stressors.
Mm,
Also,
mm.
I think the staff at UP, they were intimidating for me, if I may say. So already with the
How many were the
pre-existing
panel members?
for group activity there were 6.
Okay,
For individual interviews there were 2.
okay.
Yeah.
They're sitting there not
So
smiling.
no.
Yeah, I know. I know them. I know them. I can picture them in my mind.
Yeah, they were not smiling. So already I'm coming with pre-existing anxiety, and now the environment just exacerbates the anxiety, and it becomes a physical state, honestly. So if I were to do something different now, I would start off by mindfulness exercises, just to lower my anxiety and just to take control of my own emotions. And I would just ignore them. I wouldn't
Yeah,
focus on their facial expressions, or I would just look at the forehead
yeah.
and just focus on what I have to do.
No, definitely. You need to come up with a strategy because I think these people also come to intimidate people, you know? And
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like I don't know if they plan not to smile. I don't know whether is it part of the briefing, guys. You are only a candidate here to be in the interview if you are not going to smile with the candidates. I wonder if the selection criteria, those at UP, please ask your professors is there a reason why they don't smile so that we have clarity. Okay, so when did you get to know that you are not progressing to the next stage?
The first round lasted for about 3 days, so from Monday to Wednesday. And they said
Okay.
on a Wednesday afternoon, they will send an email to
Yeah.
notify us whether we fell out or we made it to the next. So on Wednesday, I think around 5 p.m., that's when I received the confirmation email, if I may put it that way.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And at this point now, have you heard from UFs?
Yes, they had already invited me for the interviews.
Also, during the period, did they invite you while you were still at UP or just before you went to UP?
Just the week before I went to UP.
Okay, awesome. So
Yeah.
you're not too much frustrated by the rejection because you also knew you had another option.
Yes, I also had another option.
Yeah, okay. But then what was going on in your mind now, preparing for US, knowing that you have only applied for three, two have already rejected, and now it's the last round now. It's a do or die.
Um, initially, I wasn't really proud of my performance. So
Yeah.
honestly, I thought maybe I'm not ready to
Mm,
do this. Maybe there are some issues that I need to deal with, particularly my anxiety.
mm,
So
mm,
I, like I said, I was just honest with myself. Started reflecting even on my role. What could I have done differently so that this
mm,
thing doesn't happen again? What can I
mm.
fix? I started focusing more on that, but not particularly on the selections themselves. Because what's the point of going for selections, but you
Mm.
have hindering factors um, that will affect your performance. So on that Wednesday, I just focused on processing the disappointment and the outcome. And then I think on a Friday I came home just to prepare for UFS. So the rejection was just, and it gave me an opportunity to focus more on my role, other than anything.
So at what point during that preparation did you feel like, I think I'm ready now? Was there any point
I
like
was
that?
never ready.
Or you were like, I
No,
sabona phambili.
yeah, I was never ready, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're still having that anxiety in the background that I hope it doesn't replay itself.
You know, when you are anxious and
Yeah.
now you become anxious that you don't
Yeah.
become
You are
anxious.
anxious. I know that. I know that. I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now you get to UFs and what happens?
Um I was traveling. Okay, at UFs it was different because I did everything in one day.
Is it?
Um yeah, I did everything in one day. It was actually two. We started off with a research activity in the morning and
Yeah.
then a group activity, first group activity, then right after it was individual interviews. And then we had a small break, and then after it, second group activity, followed by interview. So I traveled straight in the morning from home because UFS is not that far. It's like a 3 hour drive from home.
Okay.
So I got there, and yeah, the research activity was done in such a constrained time because we just given 30 minutes, literally
Is
30
it?
minutes. There's no time to think. You just need to write what you know, because they just want to gauge our knowledge for research skills. And then, yeah, I believe what I did differently there at UFS was to socialize more with the shortlisted candidates. So it really helped to calm me down. And the staff as well was warm and friendly and welcoming. So it really helped me a lot. The environment was not that intimidating. Yeah, so the environment really took the best out of me.
So, and I want you to share in terms of what you are comfortable with so that we don't break their confidentiality clause in terms of the selection. What can you share in terms of your experience then when you are there, just to help others who might come in the future on how you handle the selection?
First thing first, is to be calm, because once you are calm, you are able to your thinking process is much more clearer than when you are panicking. So the first group activity was mainly about ourselves. So we're discussing about ourselves, and I applied some strategies from one of your videos, that whenever you mention a weakness, there should be a proactive step right after and how we are going to navigate through that weakness. So I even changed the term and said it's an area of improvement rather than a weakness. So we're talking about just ourselves, the challenges that we faced before, the strengths, how you can apply them in a psychology field. And right after, I started even reflecting on one another's experiences and all that. Yeah.
Okay.
So
And yeah, continue.
I don't know if you wanted to ask about
No, no,
group
no,
activities.
no, continue. Just you continue.
Okay. And then after that, we go in one by one to the panel. They will ask us questions about ourselves, about what you shared in the autobiography, about your work experience, those kind of things. But the first question was,
Hi, friends, just a quick break. I know you're enjoying this program, but I just want to answer some few questions about people who still want guidance on how to access the book. You know what I usually recommend, that make sure that you get an ebook. An ebook, you can get it on Amazon and follow their process. Just click on the link below this video and then follow their process, and you'll be able to get the book. I like the ebook process with Amazon because it is instant. You buy the book, you get it immediately on your gadget. But if you are in South Africa and you want to get a hard copy posted directly to your home address without leaving your house, all you have to do, there's a link below this video from our printers who were kind enough to help us with distributing the book. All you have to do, click on the link, fill the form, and they will be able to communicate with you on how to get the book. Usually it takes about 72 hours to get the book to you, and many people have been getting their book, so don't be left behind. See the links below this video on how to get the books, whether on Amazon or for it to be posted to your home address. So don't waste any time. Many people are getting the book, so don't remain behind. Make sure you get your copy while there is still time. Don't wait for the last minute, because the book will actually share with you on how to also prepare for the application, what you have to do, tips that are necessary even before the selection process start. So make sure that you get the book as quick as possible. Let's go back and enjoy the program.
giving a reflection on your role in the group activity. So now I was the only gent in the group, and they asked, because you're a gent, what was your role in that? So you really had to be conscious of yourself, how you collaborate with others and how others collaborate with you. Because they will ask questions about, they are not going to say anything. You just need to give your reflections. I think they just want to test whether you can reflect, whether you can take criticism and all that. Yeah.
And you said they ask you about also, your background, and you mentioned something about you applied one of the advice on the video about don't say anything that you have not planned for a question and how to answer that. So what did you do in particular? Because, and I'm asking you this because I think we have applied it well, but I just wanted to share what question in particular were you asked that was relevant for you, and how did you respond to it, and why did you respond that way?
Um. Okay. On the autobiography, they focused more on my bullying experience.
Mm,
So they asked, why do I think I was the target? And right after my answer, they asked to apply one of the theories that resonates with a child that is being bullied, and how it resonates with the kind of person that you are today.
mm,
So what I did was that in from the Q&A, I did not really treat that video as in like how to approach a question, but I also did more homework. I took my autobiography, I generated questions from everything, whether it's bullying, whether it's my work experience, whether it's my uncle's situation. I ensured that any possible question that may come, whether it's theory, how to apply theory, whether it's about any insights, whether it's about my reflections, I
mm,
made sure that I had at least an idea on how I'm going to answer that. So now, with the bullying experience, they asked about the theory,
mm.
and I even went further and prepared if they were to ask how do you address that in therapy, but I was lucky enough not to get that question.
So which theory did you have in mind?
Psychodynamic. Um,
So I like that. So what you are saying, and I'm glad that you are linking it so well with what I spoke about there, to say you prepare thoroughly for every question, but thoroughly is actually what you're
yeah,
explaining. You need to think about what if they ask you how to deal with it, what theory, but even if how to apply it, the
yeah,
therapeutic aspect of it. No, I'm glad. I'm
yeah,
glad. So they I think that's the key, because you need to preempt. I tell people, psychologists, we don't read brains. We are not we are experts in human behavior. So you need to preempt what
yeah.
human behavior is likely to unfold in any situation, and that's what you did. So that was the bullying part. And which other one did you do that? The
Um,
uncle.
so yeah, they also asked about my uncle.
So
So
both the bullying and
they
your
asked.
uncle were on your autobiography.
Yes, they were both on my autobiography. Yeah.
Okay.
So with the uncle, they asked me what's the reason why I want to be a psychologist, particularly a clinical psychologist. And I said I wanted to treat moderate to severe mental illnesses. So basically, um, approaching it from the scope of practice. And I also made an example about my uncle. So the follow up from
Mm,
there was to apply my theoretical knowledge on the manifestation of psychosis.
mm,
And right after, and likely, I also did like a case study. But also, how I approached this question, I had to be cautious. I for example, I said I did not talk directly with my uncle because then I don't have the expertise. I would trigger him or something. So I went to my parents just to ask about his upbringing, check all the
mm,
stressors,
mm,
check what
mm,
could have. contributed towards his condition. So yeah, basically that's what I said.
Did they ask you anything about the scope of practice or the scope of profession?
Yes, but in a weird way,
Yeah.
they asked about the scope of practice, particularly in my work experience.
Okay.
Like if you're a psychologist, and I think it was an ethical dilemma
Mm,
question. And they related that even with my bullying experience. They
mm,
say you are now witnessing kids being bullied. What would you do? And then I started being analytical about it. I said, no, I'm going to investigate why they're behaving this way because there's a reason for each and every behavior. And they said, no, we don't want that answer. We actually want you to explain. Like it's 8 versus 2. What are you going to do? And I don't know if I was right or wrong. I just said I would call in the law enforcement to come and because I prioritize the safety first. I think
mm.
safety comes first before anything. So I think that question was testing my scope of practice. I shouldn't overlap and do someone else's job. Yeah, I think if my memory serves me well, that's the question that I got in regards to scope of practice.
And then regarding your uncle, did you get any other questions follow up after you shared your part?
No,
So they only
I
ask
did
you
not.
about so they only ask you about if you knew about his condition and how it would have been treated.
Yes, I had to explain how I think the condition was manifested.
Okay, okay. So basically, your interview hinged around what was on your autobiography.
Yes, and work experience. Because on my autobiography, I did not include the work experience. I think there was a separate link where we had to explain what we do.
Okay,
But it was mainly my autobiography and work experience.
I see. I see. Okay. Anything else that you can share about your selection process that side?
Um, I think when I prepared, I downloaded the information booklet. And UFS were very specific in terms of what candidates they would like. They wanted someone that was culturally sensitive. So I went on to investigate, like, what does it mean to be culturally sensitive, and how would you be culturally sensitive in a therapeutic setting? So I did get questions around that, particularly dealing with a diverse population. I think one question was, what are the implications of dealing with a diverse population? So I had to apply what I read during my preparation. And I got questions even about child therapy, couples therapy, more scenario-based questions. Not that they were
Mm,
expecting me to be an expert, but they just wanted to see if I can think on my
mm,
feet.
mm,
Like,
mm,
what would you do if you
mm,
found yourself in this situation? I
mm,
remember one question about couples therapy was, if I had a session with a couple and they were verbally fighting, there was just no progress. What would I do? Honestly, I did admit that I'm not so sure about it, but I would have separate sessions
mm.
just to hear
Which was good.
each
Which
side
was
of the
yeah.
story. Yeah.
Mm,
Uh, establish common grounds and what I think the problems are, and then we'll come back and address those issues.
No, which was good. Which was you responded like a psychologist. Beside the part of being unsure what to say, but you responded like a psychologist. Yeah, no, that's great, man. So, yeah, so in terms of the whole selection process was just one day.
Yes. Although there were other groups, we were 30, and then we divided into three groups. So the first group was designated to do everything on Monday, the second group on Tuesday,
Oh,
and
I
then
see, I
Wednesday.
see, I
Yeah.
see. And
But
then the
we wrote the research, but we wrote
no,
the
so
research activity all at once.
okay, so you did the research activity, you did a was it individual activities, interviews, or was it
Yeah,
group
interviews were
interviews?
individual,
All of them.
individual interviews. Yes.
And then there was a group activity as well.
Mm. There was a
Only
group,
one,
two group activity.
two
Two.
group activities. Is that all you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
No,
that's
it's fine.
all. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's fine. We won't get into what the group activities were in particular. Uh, because maybe they want to use them again next year, which is not a problem. They're allowed to use whatever they want to use. Some lecturers don't change the question paper, so maybe they want to keep the same.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, but also I think to also respect confidentiality in this regard. But is there anything else that you want to share in terms of your experience with UFs? Because uh, from what I'm hearing, everything went well. Uh, when you are done, when did you get feedback from them? How long after the selection process?
I we got them on Thursday morning. They actually called us. Um, Initially, I thought we would get a feedback on Friday because they mentioned that if there's a need for a further interview, they would arrange it for Thursday morning. So when I actually got the call, I thought they were rearranging for another interview, but that's when I got the outcome that it was successful.
Wow,
So
wow, wow.
it was
And how
really
did
good.
you feel when you get that feedback?
I wasn't disbelieved. I wasn't
Yeah,
disbelieved because at the back of my head, I'm like, from that performance in UP, and in less than a week, I get selected. It was unbelievable. It was
wow,
unbelievable. I don't want to lie.
wow, wow.
Yeah.
No, I'm still shocked. I mean, it doesn't happen often. I do get people who get accepted for the first time. There are not a lot though. Maybe it's also because I don't get a lot of feedback from those who get accepted for the first time. But there's always a lie that goes around that people never get accepted for the first time. And I think you are you are actually against that lie. That is not true. That I mean, you are here. You've been accepted for the first time, and I mean, from SMU, Nohan, from SMU. So now tell me, and I'm asking you because I think at least you shared with me that you discovered the channel actually a few weeks before the selection. Was it few weeks before UP or was it after UP? When did you discover the channel?
I think 2 weeks before the UP selection. Um,
Yeah.
that's a, that's when I discovered the channel. Basically, because I had no idea what did they ask. I had no idea how the selections work. Like I said, I'm not the person that um, had a lot of people that were going through the selections. So I had no idea what was happening. And I remember the first time I was preparing, I was actually searching the most common questions. And I realized these questions were like, they were like the ones that are being asked in internship or something. They were not really appropriate for the selections. I felt like they
Yeah.
were asking too much. So that's when I went. That's when I went on YouTube to search. Maybe this
Yeah.
is something that I can get. Yeah. So that's when I discovered your channel.
So I'm trying to put this. So when you discovered the channel, what video in particular would you say helped you to prepare?
It was the Q&A video. Um, and how I used it, like I said, I did not use it mainly for the purpose of approaching questions in a certain way. I think if we listen carefully to it, it will also indicate what a candidate needs to do. For example, there's a question that you addressed, like how
Mm,
did you prepare for
mm,
the interview? And you mentioned something like visiting the department's website. I did
mm,
not just listen, and I
mm.
went to the department website, and then I
Wow,
checked their
wow.
approach. I checked what are the things that they actually value
Mm,
in a
mm, mm,
candidate. And yeah, I just prepared questions around that as well.
mm, mm,
Also
mm,
mentioning
mm.
that we couldn't just say things, and if they asked us to elaborate, and we wouldn't even know what to say.
Yes, 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 yes.
So yeah,
And you, it
yeah.
worked for
So
you.
it worked perfectly for me.
Yeah, because that thing it's like a hook. I mean, it's like a hack that you can do, you know. And if you understand human behavior, you can lead people where you want them to go. Starting from your biography, starting from how you respond to question. And I think if you want to be a psychologist, you need to know that. You need to understand how human behavior, you know, is. How do they? You can lead them. And I wish I can explain more. It's just a skill that you need to learn and understand in terms of how do
Mm.
you impact people, how do you influence people to think in a particular way. Look, man, I'm happy. I mean, you are here, and you got in on the first time. And I like what you said actually that we previously when we met that you watched actually that video 3 times.
Yeah, if not more.
Funny how I don't know why. I mean, almost every interview I do, I think most people refer to that video. And but you are right because even me when I did it, I think I was just sharing what I wish I knew when I went for the selection, you know, because I was also clueless. But actually, what I share on that video is what I did. Exactly what I share there, because UP was very, I mean, UP, they wanted artifacts. I had to check what is this artifact? What does it look like? You know, when they want
Mm.
something, before you can even do the thing, you still need to find what is this thing. You are still dealing with the concept. What is this artifact they want? You know? And we also did group activities and they asked I mean I had almost like I don't know how many pages of preparation, like, but I regurgitate that at any time, you know. So I was sharing what I've done, and honestly, I mean, you just need to put the work. And I like what you did, that the video is a guideline. You have to do the work, you know. So no, I'm happy, man. So you are selected, applied for the first time, only 3 universities, 2 invites out of 3, and you got accepted on the first time application. This is a huge achievement, man. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
How does it feel? Just to how's this feeling? For those who have never been selected, how's this feeling when you don't know the stress of rejection, where you have to wait for another year and test psychology and swear at psychology? You don't know that. How's this feeling?
Most importantly is the feeling of being relieved. Because I also had the thought of, as you asked, like how did I feel before the UFS selections, and it was the last opportunity. So at the back of my head, I was like, if I don't get in, then I will have to wait until next year. So I feel at some point I didn't know how I felt. It was just a mixture of emotions. I have attacks of excitement there and there, but I'm so relieved, honestly
Wow,
speaking.
wow, wow,
Yeah, I'm so relieved.
wow, wow. And just to go back on what you said about volunteering, the fact that you took most part of your 2023, you were volunteering at a police station. To what extent do you think that also played a role to you being selected, if any?
Yeah, we were dealing with very much sensitive cases. And now in my community, there's no access to a clinical psychologist that is able to deal with such clients. So it was also a struggle for us to refer, because we refer as far as 250 kilometers away from here. We have limited resources. So for me, it created a feeling of stagnation, that there was only a little that I could do, and
Mm,
there's so much suffering in my community.
mm,
So I believe there was this other case. I really felt emotional about it,
mm,
that there was literally nothing that I could do. And I pictured myself, if I was a clinical psychologist, I could help people that are going through this. And it's not even only about the clients, but also the
mm,
family members that are having
mm,
to take care of such clients. So that was the point where I said, now I really need to get in. I think it once it happened, I really took effort even in applying. I made sure that my autobiography was close to perfect. I really made sure I took effort into those applications, because being a clinical psychologist at this point is not really about myself now. It's
mm,
also about my community. It's
mm.
not nice seeing how they suffer. Yeah.
Did you share that during the selection?
Yes, I did.
No, this is a moving story. I will select you when I hear this. I will feel so touched to say, let me help this guy to go and help his community. No, but that's
Yeah.
good because I think one thing I share on that video, I say bring a unique context, unique background that distinguish you from other people. And if you do share that, and as you have did, I mean, obvious that makes you stand out because you bring something that nobody else will bring. You show that there's a need in your community. You show that you were touched by the situation. You want to go back and help and uplift your community. I think that really makes an impact in the selection process. You
Yeah,
want to
it
comment on
really
that? Yeah.
did.
Yeah,
It
please
really
come in.
did. Yeah, because I mean, all of us can be psychologists, but it goes now with the most preferred candidate and the most suitable one, the one that will most likely make an impactful contribution once they are
Mm,
selected. So
mm,
it's important that we bring unique experiences, unique aspirations, that would really much be beneficial for the community, especially where we are coming from.
Awesome. Look, man, yeah, no, I think Tiro, your story is very inspiring on many levels. Not only for the fact that they selected you for on your first time of application, but I think a lot of things that you are bringing into the discussion. So maybe before we close, any words of advice to, I mean, at this point, most of the selection process have closed. Some people have been rejected. I've been getting a lot of emails, of people who have been rejected as well, but who are determined to try next year. So, what words of encouragement can you give them or advice as they prepare for next year for the application process?
What I can say to the future psychologists is that the most important thing that you can do for yourself is to take time and reflect on your experiences, whether it's your upbringing, anything that could resonate as to why you want to be a clinical psychologist. I think even the panels are looking for that. We should
Mm,
not only be moved by or be driven by the financial gains of being a
mm,
psychologist, but also it should be part of who you are. um, I believe that being a clinical psychologist or in any other field, it's much more embedded on your personal level. Um, you should be empathetic by nature. You should be compassionate. You should be for other people. You should not
mm,
act to be in that way. It should be who you are. So only through reflections you can be able to achieve even self-awareness. You must be aware of yourself. I think all these things should be done even way before you write an autobiography,
mm,
because an autobiography is not only a piece of paper where you describe events, but it's also the reflections that you have made about yourself. And that's what is going to make you stand out. So I believe at this time, they should reflect on themselves. They should really introspect as to why they want to be a psychologist before going and applying.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Awesome, awesome. It's like as if you have seen what I've been thinking around this past week. I've been telling people to reflect about why psychology, because I think people who go there, they're not even aware why they're there, you know? They just know they've got an honors and they qualify to become psychologist. And I think they get exposed when they get there. So thank you for that. And you also touch on the autobiography. But you mentioned something before. You said, you took time when you did your autobiography. What did you mean by that? For somebody watching, because I do get a lot about autobiography on how to write it. I recently did a video. I think it will go live tomorrow with somebody sharing about autobiography. But what can you share about that? What are some of the tips you can give people when they do autobiography?
Um, the autobiography, like everyone says, should not only entail of detailed descriptions of events, but also what you learned from those events, how they've shaped your perspective, how they have built you or developed you as a person. And all of those things should be in resonance with the program that you are applying in. It shouldn't be any random events that are not in association with you being a clinical
Mm,
psychologist.
mm, mm,
So
mm,
that's why I took time. I made sure that every event that happened in my life made me the most appropriate candidate to be selected. Um, and the other thing is that when you take time and you read it, it should also make sense. It shouldn't
mm.
leave a lot of questions. It shouldn't
I get
make
you.
the panel member, yeah, shouldn't make the panel members to be asking themselves, what do they mean by this?
Mm,
And
mm,
if it's
mm,
genuine, it will show that it's genuine. It wasn't written only on a superficial level. And also, the other advice is that do not include events that you never disclose to anyone, because
mm.
I've seen a lot of people crying in there because now they've never disclosed anything, and now when they are being asked, that's actually a time of reflection, and now the emotions
Mm,
are coming out, and now it becomes a problem. So that's the
mm.
other advice that I can give in the autobiography. So the autobiography can either make you or break you.
Awesome, awesome. I like that. Don't Don't bring new thing that you've never shared to you. You only know in the interview selection that, hey, this thing is making me emotional, but it's already too late. You are crying. Mr. Tiro Mutupi, thank you so much, sir. So you are selected at UF's into the clinical psychology program for 2025. Wow,
Yes.
wow, wow. All the best and thank you for what you have shared. I think this is very informative. And anybody who watches, whether they've been rejected before, they're doing their honors and wondering if is it possible to be selected at the first time application, I think you are the living testimony for that. At least I don't need to defend it that it's possible. Tina, they say, you got in long time ago. Maybe it was possible then, not this time. At least you are here in 2023. You got accepted for 2024, just fresh from the honors. So this is really, really inspiring. And all the best for next year. And thank you for sharing.
No, thank you. It was such a pleasure to be having this conversation with you. And I hope that everyone that listened will be encouraged to try again next year. Just being patient, just trusting in the process, and they will get in.
Awesome. Be patient and trust in the process. All the best to everyone watching, and we hope next year we'll be watching you on this channel, sharing your journey. All the best and enjoy.